Get your popcorn ready, folks. It's playoff time in the NFL. The race for the Lombardi Trophy is officially on, with the Kansas City Chiefs and Philadelphia Eagles getting a much-deserved head start in the form of a first-round bye for winning their respective conferences. But if you happen to support a lowly number 7 seed or even the Dallas Cowboys, don't despair. This is the postseason. Anything can happen. And I'm here to explain why your team can win Super Bowl 57. So sit back, relax, and take this in. The Seahawks defied expectations all season long, making it into the playoffs after trading away franchise cornerstone Russell Wilson and watching career backup Geno Smith thrive in his stead, so why stop now? Seattle unexpectedly managed one of the NFL's 5 most dangerous passing attacks on account of the chemistry between Smith and wide receivers DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, and while their defense isn't exactly the Legion of Boom, they at least head into the playoffs with some positive momentum, having allowed a combined 22 points over their final 2 regular season games. Admittedly, it's hard to imagine Miami's first trip to the postseason in more than a half-decade bearing fruit if Tua Tagovailoa remains sidelined. If he does manage to play, though, watch out. Between his multiple concussion-induced absences, Tua led the NFL in QB rating, net yards gained per pass attempt, and touchdown percentage, and the Dolphins average almost 26 points per game in his 13 starts. They may not play the sexiest brand of football, and they didn't rack up many wins against quality teams in 2022, but the Giants consistently hang tough and hang on to the football. New York finished in the top 10 in the league in time of possession and managed a better turnover differential than the Seahawks, Vikings, and Bills. Their running game is a handful too, finishing in the top 5 in the NFL in yards per game and yards per attempt. In the dozen games Lamar Jackson started this season, the Ravens went 8-4. In their other 5 games, they went 2-3. So it bodes extremely well for Baltimore that there's reportedly a strong chance their ailing QB returns to the field for the wildcard round. And even if he doesn't, the Ravens still have a chance thanks to an elite defense that allowed the 3rd fewest points in the NFL this season and a kicking game that remains the envy of the league. While nobody would confuse the Chargers for one of the NFL's top squads, as only one of their 10 victories this year came against a playoff team, they certainly seem to be peaking at the right time, with 4 wins in their final 5 regular season games. And there's no denying how much talent they have on offense between Justin Herbert, Austin Eckler, Keenan Allen, and Mike Williams. All of whom should be good to go when the postseason gets underway, despite head coach Brandon Staley's boneheaded decision to leave in his starters to get hurt in their inconsequential regular season finale. Since Dak Prescott returned from injury in Week 7, the Cowboys have been an absolute wrecking ball on offense, averaging nearly 33 points per game en route to a second straight 12-5 season. It is slightly troubling, given their seed and path to the Super Bowl, that 4 of their 5 losses came on the road, but Dallas ultimately has no major weaknesses and has already proven that they can beat the other top teams in the NFC. The Jaguars in the postseason doesn't exactly compute, but second-year QB Trevor Lawrence really does look like that dude. Over his final 9 regular season games, the former number 1 pick threw 15 touchdowns to just 2 interceptions while completing almost 70% of his pass attempts, transforming the Jags offense into an unexpected top 10 unit and ultimately turning a formerly 3-6 Jacksonville team into a playoff squad. Let's face it, the Bucs are a mediocre team that only made it into the playoffs because their division is a dumpster fire. That said, they still have Tom Brady. And while the 7-time Super Bowl champ may not be as intimidating at the age of 45 as he once was, any team has a shot with the GOAT under center. Even this profoundly flawed Bucs team with an abysmal offensive line and running game. Believe it or not, Kirk Cousins led the NFL in game-winning drives in 2022, propelling the Vikings to their best season in a half-decade. And with Justin Jefferson in tow, he now has the best receiver he's ever had and one of the best young receivers in the history of the game to help him dispel his reputation as a big game choker and silence the folks who have called the Vikings frauds all season long. Remember how the Bengals made it to the Super Bowl last year? Well, they actually managed a better record and point differential this year. Despite missing star wide receiver Jamar Chase and lead running back Joe Mixon for extended stretches, the Bengals averaged more points per game than all but 6 other teams. And although their defense isn't quite as elite, Cincinnati still hasn't lost a game since Halloween. Against all odds, the 49ers are a juggernaut who head into the postseason on a 10-game winning streak. And their incredible late-season surge wouldn't have happened without the exceptional play of Mr. Irrelevant Brock Purdy, who put up an absurd QB rating of 119 after getting thrust into starting duty in Week 14. But as prolific as their offense remains, even with their third-string quarterback running the show, it's their defense that makes them truly terrifying. The 49ers led the NFL this season in yards allowed per game, points allowed per game, and interceptions, and have surrendered more than 20 points in a game once since October 23rd. It feels weird to call the Bills a perennial powerhouse, but that's what they are, having just cruised to a third-straight division title on the backs of an elite offense, helmed by now 2-time Pro Bowler Josh Allen, and a top-notch defense that stymied the running game like nobody's business and finished 5th in the NFL in turnover rate. And not only did the Bills manage the second-best point differential in the league, but they showed in Week 18 that they can continue to execute even in the wake of Damar Hamlin's terrifying and traumatic cardiac arrest episode. The Eagles team that won the Super Bowl a half-decade ago doesn't hold a candle to this Eagles team, which excels in every facet of the game. Thanks to a historic season from Jalen Hurts, who's suddenly looking like one of the best dual-threat QBs ever, the Eagles' dynamic offense finished 3rd in the NFL in points, while Philly's defense is a nightmare for opposing QBs. The Eagles managed 15 more sacks than the game's second-best pass rush, pressured opposing QBs on nearly a quarter of all dropbacks, and ultimately allowed the fewest passing yards in the league. And finally, with likely MVP Patrick Mahomes leading the charge, the Chiefs fielded the most potent offense in the NFL this season. And that was after trading away Tyreek Hill and with an unheralded rookie as their primary running back. Basically, they're a threat to score on every snap, and they're almost unbeatable at home, having lost just once at Arrowhead this year. That augurs extremely well for them considering they won't play a game anywhere else until the Super Bowl, outside of a potential neutral site matchup against the Bills in the AFC Championship game. But then again, the Chiefs are scary no matter where they play. They were the last team on our list for a reason. But what say you? Who do you think is the best bet to win it all? And which dark horse team do you like the most this postseason? Let us know in the comments and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. As always, we appreciate you. We'll see you next time.